Hello, myself Prachi Hatkar, and today I'll be, as Amit sir already mentioned, that I am currently completing my PhD. I am right now submitting my PhD thesis tomorrow. So the thesis was on the Dugong research in Gulf of Kutch in Marine National Park. So today I'll be talking about conservation status and recent advances in Dugong research in Gulf of Kutch. So, about myself, I am a postgraduate in zoology. Being an wildlife enthusiast, I completed my open water diver course, and currently I'm submitting my PhD thesis. So, previously, as I mentioned, that I was working in Wildlife Institute of India. This particular institute is situated in Dehradun, Uttarakhand. It is an internationally acclaimed institute which offers training and academic courses, and it acts as a advisory services in wildlife research in Pan India. So this particular institute is very much engaged in research on biodiversity related issues across the country. So marine biodiversity is basically the variety of life that actually stays in our ocean. That includes many plants, microorganisms living on ocean from the bottom to the surface. And particularly for this ocean zones, we have a particular zones like the intertidal zones, the neritic zone, and the oceanic zone. So basically, in intertidal zones, we see mollusks, we see intertidal starfishes or anemones, and in rocky shores also we see some conches, crabs. In the neritic zone, we see the planktons, seaweeds, and seagrasses. In the oceanic zone, that is much deeper zone, or the in the photic oceanic zone, we see many unusual animals which are actually also adapted to this deep oceans. So, like jellyfishes, sharks, marine mammals, and another comes that is the benthic zone. That is nothing but where the light doesn't penetrate, and it actually harbors some bacteria, worms, sea urchins, which actually thrives on the deep sea floor. So just going through a briefly, what is intertidal zone? The intertidal zone is a place where the ocean meets the land, and the animals which are living on this intertidal zone are actually survive. They survive to the exposure of air and them, and that's what keep them being washed away by the waves. So the intertidal zone is nothing but so after the intertidal zone that comes the neritic zone, which is nothing but a shallow water zone, and actually the ocean floor starts and the bottom is very warm and it receives ample of sunlight. Another is the benthic zone, as I mentioned, which is nothing but the ocean floor, and it doesn't actually get any sunlight as such. So now currently the deep benthic zone is being explored by NIO. So what are the major ecosystems we see? There are coral reef, there are mangrove forests, there are seaweeds and seagrasses ecosystem. So if you see the coral reef and mangrove forest have been talked about a lot, that how much carbon has been capturing by this coral reef, and at what rate they are getting destroyed. But we hardly know about any seagrass ecosystem in India. So, as Amit sir had mentioned, we have been protecting the ocean with help of some protected areas in our Indian coastline. And we have about an exclusive economic zone which actually extends about 2.2 million square kilometer along the continental shelf. And we have about so many national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. We have also the community reserves as well. And coming to the main thing which I'll be talking about is marine mammals. So marine mammals are nothing but aquatic mammals that actually spend their most of the 80% of their lifespan inside the sea. So not every marine mammal can come up on outside the surface and stay back like seals and walruses. So like cetaceans like whales and dolphins and porpoise stay most of their lifetime into the sea. And there are about 120 odd species of marine mammal that are found in all over the world, which consist of 30 to 35 cetaceans, which includes whales, dolphins, and porpoise, and one order, Sirenian, which includes dugong and manatees, which are found along the dugongs. Among them are only found in the Indian waters, and marine mammals were actually hunted first for the food and other resources, and now they are being targeted for the commercial fisheries, commercial industries as well, and that has led to a sharp decline towards their population. So, what are these marine mammals particularly plays a role about in the whole marine ecosystem? So, they actually act as a top predators. So, if you look at the whale, sharks or the humpback whales, they actually act as a predatory animals. They help in maintaining the community structure, and they actually help to construct the physical benthic tunnel assemblage or the nutrient cycle as well. So, why did you ever wonder that why marine mammals are so big in size? If you look at the whale or the porpoise or the seals or sea lions, so basically their body surface is so that they can absorb more and more heat. So, if the surface area is very less, the heat dissipated will be much more higher rate. So, they have to have a larger surface area, and that's why they are evolved to be so big in size. So the order which I was talking about, they're basically order Pinnipedia, which includes seals, sea lions, and walruses. Order Sirenia, which includes dugong and manatees, and order Cetaceans, which includes the toot and marine whale. So if you look at the biology about dugong specifically, the marine mammal, so there are only about less than 200 animal left in the population status, which was earlierly mentioned by the previous surveys. And the major threats which are caused by dugong is hunting, fishing net entanglement, boat strike, habitat loss, pollution, and there is a conflict with the fishermen which is going on. If you look at the lifespan, the dugong stays about 60 to 70 years in the wild. And the particular order Sirenia, as I mentioned, that includes manatees and dugong. So there are three types of manatees, which is Amazonian manatee, West Indian manatees, and West African manatees. These are found in the Atlantic Ocean, and the dugong is found in only in Pacific region. So there was a previously ancestor of dugong, which was Stella sea cow, and which was found in 1741, and it just got extinct in 1968. So after 20 years or almost of the discovery, it was hunted down to extinction, and it weighed about 10 metric ton, and it was about 30 feet long. So if you currently see the dugong population in world, it is found in Indian and Pacific Ocean. And apart from that, it is extinct in Taiwan completely. And now it has been declared as functionally extinct in China. So what do you mean by functionally extinct? So the population or the number of individuals which are residing in the residing in the China Sea is literally cannot function whatever the ecological role is being given by the nature. So the individuals which are there are thriving, but they are not able to I mean their ecological role has been minimized because of the threats that they have been facing. If you look at the Indian sub context, we have only the dugongs were previously reported to known from all over the Indian coastline, but now because of the all the threats that we see, it is now only been restricted to Gulf of Kutch and Marine National Park, in Tamil Nadu, in Park Bay region and Gulf of Mannar, and in Andaman Nicobar Islands. So this was the first record that my colleagues from Nagpur got after almost 7 years, and it is a state animal of Andaman Nicobar Island. So if you will see, they are also called gentle giants, and they are the only vegetarian marine mammals which are found in all over the world. And if you come across, so my PhD was in Gulf of Kutch Marine National Park. So this particular marine sanctuary was established in 1980, and it spans about 457 square kilometer. So it has about 42 islands, and 36 are covered in the national park and 6 are covered in the sanctuary. So this particular habitat comprises of mangroves, it comprises of mud flats, it comprises of seagrass meadows, So among all this ecosystem, the mangroves and coral reef have been given at most important for the conservation. And when we started working in Gulf of Kutch, we saw that there is a lack of publications or information from the seagrass meadows which are found in India. So, as the dugongs are only herbivorous marine mammal, they only feed on this particular seagrasses. So, when we started working in the Gulf of Kutch, we didn't have any baseline data for the dugongs. We didn't have, I mean, there was no awareness or outreach. There was a lack of manpower. We didn't have any published literature on marine mammal, particularly focusing on the seagrass ecosystem. There was a gap in the administrative and implementation agencies. There was a lack of communication between the local fishermen communities and other stakeholders. And there is no such designated marine mammal stranding response team that is there in Gujarat to attend any live or dead stranding. And actually, what we see is there is a lack of sensitivity towards the marine life in the community. If you compare to the terrestrial fauna or terrestrial life, so which is more fascinating towards which is more fascinated towards the local community. So if you see the seagrasses meadows, there are 15 species of seagrasses in India that are found. So the dugong only feeds on this two particular species. That is, one is Halophila and one is Halodule species. So the major seagrass habitat in India that includes in Park Bay, Gulf of Mannar, Andaman Nicobar Islands, in Gulf of Kutch, Lakshadweep Islands, and in Chilika Lake. And as Sir had mentioned, and Pranav will also tell you about the new discoveries of the seagrass meadows that we came across. So if you look at the dugongs and manatees, so what are the basic differences? So as I mentioned that the manatees stay in the Atlantic Ocean and dugongs are staying in the Pacific and Indian Ocean. So every dugong matures about age of 10 to 17 years. They show a parental care. The calf actually stays with its mother for around 14 to 18 months, and the gestation period that lasts about 12 to 14 months. So the dugong actually comes on the surface to breathe every 5 to 6 minutes. So unlikely the manatees, dugongs are exclusively marine species. So the manatees can eat sea grasses. They can eat also the algae or the freshwater algae or freshwater algae as well. And this gentle giants actually needs to have 30 to 40 kgs of sea grasses in a day. So you can imagine the vast rate that the seagrass meadows are getting destroyed. How many dugongs will be, I mean, how dugongs will be thriving in the Indian Ocean as well. And if you look at the seagrass meadows importance, it actually acts as a nursery ground to the fishes, and it globally supports the threatened species such as the sea turtles. So the green sea turtles also feeds on the seagrasses. So it's a competitor for dugong if you say that way, and it also acts as a carbon sink. And because of the climate change and trawling and coastal developmental pollution, this particular habitat is getting threatened. So the word dugong had came from the Talang word, which is called as Lady of the Sea, and it actually inspired the legend of mermaids. So if you see how the dugongs were discovered, or previously the sailors described the dugongs as the mermaid. So as I mentioned that it is the only vegetarian marine mammal which is found, and it is very much interesting to see that immediate cousins or the immediate evolutionary relatives are not manatees. If you look, they are actually related more to the elephants. And if you see an interesting thing that dugong also has some tusks like elephants, which is complementary. One coming down back to the seagrasses and seaweed. So seagrasses are particularly angiosperms. They flower and fruit underwater. They have true root system, and there are about 72 species of seagrasses which are present in all over the world. And as I mentioned that we have only 15 species of seagrasses, and they reproduce through the flowers and seeds. Unlike the marine algae that actually reproduces through asexual forms like spores and all, and marine algae doesn't have any true root system. So that's how we differentiate between the seaweed and a sea grasses. So there was a story in Gulf of Kutch that that Gujaratis, particularly in Gujarat, the Krishna is very much worshipped. So there is a town there is a village in the Gujarat which is called as Dwarka, and it was a home to Krishna, God, Lord Krishna. So when it was a story which was mentioned that when the Dwarka sank underwater, so Krishna wanted his cows to stay back with him forever. So he converted the cows into the sea cows, and so how that's how the sea cows are still thriving into the Gulf of Kutch region. So if you see the particularly the previously evolution wise, so we have reported the IIT Roorkee have been reported actually the fossils of this particular dugong, which were found around 20 million and last approximately was found in 42 million years ago, which was Ashokia antiqua, which was also found in the Gulf of Kutch region. So the dugongs actually help to contribute the economy of this coastal communities by maintaining these seagrass meadows, by helping through the ecotourism, and their presence acts as a healthy indicator of this particular seagrass meadows. If you look at the natural mortalities, the dugongs which are getting caught in the fishing net. So this particular standing record was the highest in Tamil Nadu, but it was have been. I mean, the standing rate has been increasing continuously, but now because of the awareness campaigns and rescue efforts, this particular mortalities have been reduced now in Tamil Nadu. So in Gujarat, we didn't have an opportunity to get a scuba diving done because of the turbidity of the water. So what we started working on a field surveys for intertidal surveys. We started with the data analysis, whatever the outreach and capacity building programs that we conducted. And we started monitoring the habitat. So we started the first stakeholders that we engaged were the fishermen. We started with the interview surveys, their perception, what things do they know about the dugongs or the seagrasses. And also we started with another initiatives that we also started working with marine police, boat crews, the fishermen, Indian Coast Guards, and scuba divers. So after getting all this information, we started to locate where the dugong foraging grounds were actually in Gulf of Kutch. So if you see in the picture, there is a small white line, if you can see here. So this is all a seagrass meadow, and this is a coral reef which was exposed and which was exposed in the low tide. So we recorded such as more than 835 foot foraging trail during the project interval. And so how do we know that this has been particularly this particular size of the feeding trail was taken up to know if the animal was, the animal was bigger or medium or the younger ones. So depending on the trail which is new or old, we can find out that how the dugong has been foraging. So as I mentioned that dugong only being vegetarian marine mammals, they only feeds on the Halophila ovalis and Halodule species in Gujarat, and we recorded about 29 individuals from our study area. And recently, in last year, we also got an information of dugong standings, which was happened in July 24. And previously, we got encountered a dugong standing in 2018. So if you can see on this particular animal, there are rec marks. So this particular rec marks was actually indicating that this particular individual was sexually active. Okay, so these were not just net marks. So you can see the paper on our website if you want to get to know more about. So we conducted a necropsy also, and we found some microplastic inside the gut of this particular animal. But the actual reason for the death was it got hit by a boat, or it was entangled in the fishing net. And we also started working for the ecological monitoring where the strandings were reported. So we started actually mapping the seagrass meadows across the Gulf of Kutch region. And we also encountered some illegal fishing activities inside the protected areas. So we had been doing the seasonal occurrence data for the Gulf of Kutch and other dugong habitats. So the paper is already out. You can have a look at it on the website. During the survey, we actually got the first photographic evidence of the dugongs in December 2021. So this is the only first record of the photographic evidence of the dugong which is found in Gulf of Kutch. So there is no photographic evidence that the dugongs are staying in the Gulf of Kutch region. So initially, it was thought that dugongs are locally extinct from that particular region. So we started measuring the seagrass meadows phenology also. So when the reproductive phase is there and when this particular species are flowering and fruiting, so we got to know their reproductive cycle as well. It will be easier if we have to if we have to restore the habitat, so that time we can use the information. Apart from that, we started conducting threat mapping in the critical dugong habitats. So as I initially mentioned, that we tried working on the citizen science network with the help of local stakeholders. The dugong strandings were already reported. Then we started conduct the whole area was divided into 2 by 2 kilometer grids, and point counts were done to check the boat traffic or the fishing net. So the densities were calculated, and we found that in the Gujarat particularly, so the highest vessel composition was found in the summer period rather than the winter period. So in during the winter season, the boat traffic or the uh, because of the boat traffic, the boat traffic were less. It was less of the particularly the ghost nets or plastic wrappers or etc. were less. So we actually recommended that the summer season intensified monitoring has to be done. So as a part of my PhD, I collected information on the seagrass associated fauna in the Gulf of Kutch. So the Gulf of Kutch region, the seagrass meadows actually not just harbors the Indian Ocean dolphin or bottlenose dolphin, dugongs, and sea turtle. It actually also harbors many sea slugs, sea stars, crabs, sea cucumbers, and many fishes. So these are some of the glimpses of this Gulf of Kutch region particularly. So I found the highest gastropod diversity, followed by bivalves and brachyrians. As Amit sir had mentioned that in the whole Indian region, if you look at, then the arthropod diversity is the highest. We also started working for the seagrass associated fish faunal sampling as well. As a part of the program, we also started giving training to the local stakeholders such as the forest department and the marine police as well. We started giving them the drone training so that they will be monitoring dugongs through the aerial surveys. And as a part of the awareness programs, we have been working to conduct some awareness outreach programs, posters as well. So there is one comic book, which is My Friend Dugong, which was written by Chanchal Singha Roy. And he's a teacher in Andaman. So this particular book has been translated into regional languages, which is also available on the website. We have also published a seagrass identification field guide, and we have also published a manual on marine mammal stranding response. So as a part of this, another initiative, we also started with the Dugong Scholarship Program for particularly for the fishermen residing in the region. So for this particular scholarship response. So far, 400 students have been enrolled in this flagship program, and they have been give their parents have been
ஒரு கோட்ல போனா போய் மூவ் பண்ணி எடுக்கலாம் போட்டோம்.
as you can see, more of the awareness programs that about 29 for 24. So now we are basically rescuing in Tamil Nadu. And as sir mentioned that due to the fact that Park Bay Conservation Reserve have been declared by the Tamil Nadu government as a part of this Campa Dugong recovery program, we conducted various surveys in Gulf of Mannar from November 16 till March 19, and the dugong and calf was sighted in 2000. I mean, this particular Dugong Conservation Reserve was actually proposed in 2018, and it actually got implemented in last 2 years back. And because why it was declared as a conservation reserve, because we saw 6 dugongs were rescued and released back into particular this in Dugong Conservation Reserve, while 11 dugongs died in the region during the surveys because of the fishing intense related activities. And to sum up the activities that we have done so far, to share a video. So, if you would like to know more about the Campa Dugong program, you can follow them on their social media as mentioned. And every year on 28th May, we celebrate World Dugong Day. So next year, please participate on the online competitions if you come across any. And we also celebrate World Seagrass Day on the 1st March as well. And in the end, I would just like to mention that dugong is one of the priority conservation species in India. And winning conservation battles takes time, and still we are going ahead with 9 years of the program. And if you have any questions, I'm open for the questions right now. Thank you for listening.